This psychotic freak went into Skyline Chili, where his ex-girlfriend worked, and while she was taking an order, stabbed her to death. On this episode of What the Fuck, Ohio, we're talking about the brutal death of Alyssa Hill at the hands of this nasty freak, RickWright. This is not going to be like the typical What the Fuck Ohio case because this just happened on June 2nd. He just got his bond hearing a couple days ago and nothing has concluded yet. There's been no trial yet and there's not that much information out there of what transpired prior to this. But I did do a deep dive on his criminal history and it is fucking extensive. And again, he gets off time and time again on violent fucking cases. It's crazy. But let's get into it. So Allie, by all accounts, was an amazing person. She was 27 years old. She was a devoted mother of two, and she was extremely hardworking. She had been working at that Norwood Skyline location for quite some time, and it was reported that she was pushing 6-7 days a week to not only provide for her two children, but she was also the sole caregiver for her ill father. So Allie had only dated RickWright for a few months, like 4 months, and immediately noticed red flag, he was obsessive and just like acting fucking weird. So she dumped him. She did the right thing. She left out of a situation that she felt could potentially be dangerous and she broke up with him. And reportedly, that was some time ago. Like, this wasn't, she just broke up with him. This was, one report said 6 months ago. Another one said over a year ago they believed that she hadn't talked to him. So this wasn't a recent thing. But again, there hasn't been much information out. So it's unclear if they were talking prior to this incident or not. But tragically, on June 2nd, 2026, Allie, 27-year-old mother of two who was working at her job at the Norwood Skyline, was taking an order for a customer when RickWright ran in. He stabbed her in the back and then stabbed her in the chest and then ran out of the building. You can hear the 911 calls. A couple people have released them from her coworkers who are clearly frantic, telling the 911 operator what's going on, but also customers both inside the restaurant and in the drive-thru who witnessed this. RickWright was found that same day and arrested, but let's get into this fucking man's history because this motherfucker got a rap sheet long as hell, and I only looked into Hamilton County. I mean, I don't even know if other counties have had a problem with him. But anyways, this is RickWright. He was born on June 11th, 1998, and he was a fucking career criminal. And this started in Hamilton County in 2006. In 2006, he was charged with menacing, obstruction, assault, and disorderly conduct. The menacing and obstruction got dropped, but he was found guilty on the misdemeanor assault and disorderly conduct. And this is going to be a theme. He gets plenty of assaults, but they're all misdemeanors. He also gets plenty of like menacing charges and disorderly conducts, and a lot of the cases get dismissed, which is strange. Anyways, in 2007, he was charged with carrying a concealed weapon. He was also charged with assault and menacing, but that case got dismissed, but he was convicted on the gun charge. Unclear if he did any time for that. Also in 2007, he was convicted of obstructing official business, which again is a misdemeanor. And I'm thinking because this case is like kind of like a little bit viral and like it's on the news and stuff, they may have locked a lot of his records, because when I was looking into the next case I'm talking about, which is in 2008, where he was convicted of assault, all of the documents are locked. I would have to go to the Hamilton County Courthouse to view those court transcripts or that docket. But like I said, in 2008, he was convicted of assault, unsure of the details, but he did violate probation on that charge, and his probation was terminated. I don't know if he did jail time because it was a misdemeanor assault, so likely he just did jail time. But again, in 2008, he was also convicted of obstructing official business. In 2009, he was convicted of menacing, which was another misdemeanor, but obviously shows a pattern of psychotic and violent behavior and menacing behavior. In 2010, he was convicted of trafficking marijuana and receiving stolen property. He got probation. In 2012, he went to prison for robbery. I'm unsure on how much time he ended up doing. Like I said, a lot of his records are locked. I missed one. In 2011, he was charged with driving without a license, and then in 2012, he went to prison for robbery. Then it seems like likely he did a couple years in prison for that because he doesn't get in trouble again in Hamilton County until 2017, and he was charged with trafficking heroin. Again, got probation. The most recent one prior to this incident at Skyline was in February of 2025. He was convicted of a misdemeanor assault against a police officer. How the fuck? He was indicted on felony 4 at first, but they must have pled it down. But again, assault against a police officer and they're letting him plead to a fucking misdemeanor. That's crazy. He was given probation and was supposed to be going to see his probation officer. And also, he had like other court ordered classes he was supposed to be going to. But he had an appointment with his probation officer on December 9th, 2025, and he did not show up. So on December 16th, they issued a warrant out for his arrest, like a capias warrant, which is basically like you don't show up to court, you don't show up to meet your probation officer. And it was a probation violation, obviously. So he had an active warrant out for his arrest when he went into Skyline. I've heard a lot of discourse about, like, if he had an active warrant, why didn't they go and look for him? On a misdemeanor, they're not going to waste their resources to go look for someone with a misdemeanor warrant. What they're going to do is they're going to wait for him to get pulled over. And that's when they're going to get him. They're not ever going to go out and search for him on a misdemeanor. And as I stated, at some point he met Alyssa Hill and they began dating only for a brief period of time, but clearly he became obsessed with her and took her life in front of patrons and her co-workers who are likely going to be traumatized forever. She also had 2 young children and a father who she was the sole caretaker of. There are so many people who are going to feel this loss and who are going to be traumatized from this event. The only silver lining is that the community has really rallied around Alyssa and her children. So the Norwood Skyline location that Alyssa worked at is donating 20% of the restaurant sales for the week of June 8th to June 15th to an established fund that will directly benefit Allie's 2 children. And they also decided that they're going to contribute $25,000 to that fund on top of the 20% of the restaurant sales. And then their partners, Coca-Cola Consolidated, have matched that and also donated $25,000 to her children's fund. There is also a GoFundMe that was set up by one of her close friends, and that has raised almost $50,000 as well. RickWright made his first appearance at court a couple days ago, and he was granted a $1 million bond. His lawyer said that he don't have a penny to pay, so he will stay in jail, and he's being charged with murder, which in Ohio, the murder that he's getting charged with only carries 15 to life. It does not carry a life without parole sentence for everyone who thinks that, but this man is a habitual violent person. He has multiple assault charges, multiple menacing charges that get dropped down, and he clearly was a domestic abuser. 15 to life? No. He's got to do life without parole. This case is so fucking tragic and sad and just scary that someone can be that fucking psychotic that you can just be working, trying to provide for your children, and they just randomly get fucking pissed off at you and come and stab you in front of an entire restaurant full of people. This was broad daylight. There were multiple people in the restaurant, but the only positive about that is that there are so many witnesses that there's no way he's going to walk, but unfortunately, likely, they're going to give him a plea deal, which is going to make me fucking sick. And my thing is, how the fuck did he even get a bond? He has an active warrant out for his arrest. He's on probation and has the warrant for violating probation. And then while all these things are going on, he decides to go and murder his ex-girlfriend in a very public, packed restaurant. No, he should have never got a bond. But I will continue to update you guys on this case as the trial and he continues to go to court. But yeah, what the fuck, Ohio?